Three, two, from high atop the world headquarters of Southeastern Fly. This is the Southeastern Fly podcast. Feel free to share this with your friends and your fishing partners. Matter of fact, go ahead and text a link to them so they can go ahead and follow the podcast wherever they subscribe or consume podcast. So if you find value in the podcast, which I hope you do, stop by the Southeastern Fly website at southeasternfly.com, click on the store and make a purchase of a hat or a t-shirt, and we'll send you a free Southeastern Fly podcast decal. All right, let's get moving today. Today was not on the river. It was supposed to be nasty and wind blowing and raining all day. So we rescheduled the folks, and it's actually been pretty nice. So maybe we missed out on something. Maybe we didn't. The generation wasn't all that great. So probably didn't miss out on much. Just, bigger fish and that sort of thing that come out when the generation's running this time of year. But hey, who's looking at that, right? What are we going to talk about? One of the things that I want to talk about, or the main topic I want to talk about today, are confidence flies. Oh, so there are certain flies in our fly box that we reach for when the going is not so great, or whenever we really need to feel, or when we feel like we really need to catch fish. So those are confidence flies. That's what I'm going with anyway. And so what is confidence? The confidence is the feeling of the belief that you can rely on someone or something uh, at all times, basically. So confidence flies definitely fit into that definition of confidence. Uh, Usually, it's a fly that works for more than one fish, works more than one day, may even work on more than one river. That being said, don't think that you can't have a confidence fly for each river or each species or each, heck, just pick something, each anything. Doesn't matter. It's your fly. It's your confidence fly. You can categorize or look at it any way that you want to. Don't let someone else define your confidence fly for you. And we'll get into that here in just a minute. But so, for instance, a parachute Adams is a friend of mine's confidence fly in the Smokies. And he says that's smaller water. If you're not, for those that are listening from somewhere that haven't been up into the Smokies, so it's normally going to be smaller water, pocket water, falling water, high gradient, that sort of thing. And his confidence flies a parachute Adams, which is kind of counterintuitive to me, but hey, it's his confidence flies. So he'll say over 100,000 fish have been served on the parachute Adams. So he's very confident in that fly. So mine, we'll get into mine later. No sense in going any further there. So how do you come up with a confidence fly? It kind of just organically comes up a lot of times. So you have that confidence in that fly because you caught several fish on it. You maybe you fish the same water a lot. A lot of us fish closer to home more often than we fish out west, down south, on the coast, maybe even up north, across the pond somewhere, wherever. So we fish regularly on a certain body of water. So that fly that maybe imitates that food that's on the water, that might be your confidence fly because you know that whenever you go to that water, put on that fly, you do a really nice job of presenting the fly. You're a little more confident in your casting. You're a little more confident in your presentation. You're even sometimes a little more confident in your boat placement or where you're waiting, where you're standing, that sort of thing. So sometimes a confidence fly is just something that you believe in that makes you just tune in a little better to the water. Maybe you read the water a little better, or maybe even you just try a little to be a little more stealthy with it because you believe that something's going to happen there, which is really cool. Um, some things you need to ask yourself as you're building confidence in the flies, did I just stumble into a stocking location and there just happens, the stocking truck was there yesterday? If you're on stocked waters, you can build confidence in that fly. a lot of times and be wrong, because the down the road in a week or two, that fly may not do anything for you, because the fish have finally tuned into what's in the water and are looking for food that's in that water. They're not looking for a piece of trout chow or whatever. Not That's not as big a deal on the non-stock waters. Smallmouth, they tend to have their own types of flies that they look because they're looking for different types of food. And the natural fish in the Smokies, they tend to look for different types of food or different types of flies, because they're eating different types of food. So those are some of the things that you'll look at whenever you start thinking about your confidence fly, and you start building that confidence in a fly, in a pattern. And a lot of us like to tinker around on the vise and try different patterns and hope that we get something that magically works that no one's thought about yet. And that's possible. It's still possible. I think anything along those lines is very possible to do. You just might want to uh, think about, am I creating something new, or am I just adding something that worked on that last fly? What am I doing there to start building that fly? But your confidence fly is going to be the one that you pick out of the box when all that stuff that you worked on during the week, while you couldn't get to the river, doesn't work. So I've tied all week. I've tied 5 different patterns, and now I'm on the 5th pattern. Nothing's happened. That next thing that you reach for is probably going to be my confidence fly. Um, so did I stumble into a stocking location? Did I just happen to hit it on a particular day for some reason? As you build confidence in that fly, it's not just usually going to be, oh, one trip to the river and everything was cool, and I got my confidence up on this fly, and now that's all I'm going to tie. Don't fall into that either, because sometimes that confidence fly don't work like you think it should. So confidence flies, you can have those also in different seasons. So you can have them for different rivers, different species, like I was talking about. You don't want to use a midge when you're going for the muskie. You don't want to use a muskie fly whenever you're going up into the mountains for native brook trout that are small, like up in the Appalachians. Well, you might, but you probably won't have a lot of luck. So confidence flies are good in different locations, different species, and also in different seasons. I have a fly called the tudo, which I think in Italian means everything. So you've probably seen it on the website. The pattern's on the website, I think, somewhere. I'm trying to think of where it is, but anyway, the tudo was whenever I first kind of first started learning, trying to learn how to tie flies. I wasn't very good at it. Really, still not all that great at it compared to a lot of people. And there's a whole bunch of stuff laying on the table on the tying desk, and I mean, I got a little aggravated with myself that I wasn't doing a really great job of tying flies, and trying to hit these patterns. And I finally said, you know what, I'm just going to put everything that's laying out here. Next thing I see is going on this fly. So I built it up, and it really is it's kind of a midge imitation, kind of a pheasant tail imitation, kind of a scud imitation with a bead head and a little bit of flash in it, that you can cut the tail a little bit, strands of the tail off a little bit to change look on it. And I developed that over. Oh, I've kind of been working on it off and on for a few years, or had been, and now I've got it where I want it. But it works better, probably works best in fall. It works pretty good on browns, but it also works pretty good on rainbows that are laying behind the browns in the fall. Try not to fish the reds, but I do fish around behind the reds for rainbows and stuff. So it works pretty good for that. And so that is my confidence fly for that time of the year. Now, I definitely have other flies that I use that time of year, but that one is one that I'll start tying late summer, somewhere in September. Use it in usually late November is when it really starts getting good, and that's so the fish around here start really spawning. The browns start spawning early November, and for some reason this just works a little bit better in late November. And there's probably still some brown spawning, but yeah, so that's my confidence fly for that season. That's just an example. I have some more too, and I'll get into them in just a minute. But you can have a confidence fly for different rivers. I've got a midge that I really kind of like on one of the rivers that we fish, and I really don't like it too much on the other river that we fish. And I do like it on the third river that we fish for trout. And it just seems to work better on two of the rivers than one of the rivers. And it's just mainly are going to use it on those two rivers versus the one a little further south. So I've got that different colors, same fly, different colors in that particular midge pattern seem to work. So if I want to do a little bit of experiment on it, it's still, yeah, something to experiment with. But again, whenever nothing's really working with my experimentation, I do have a color that I go back to and I use it. It's kind of like that. All right, none of this worked. I'm going to this color now because what I feel like in my mind that it's really going to work. And again, I think I cast a little better. I think my presentation may be a little better. Those two things, I think. I'm not afraid to do different things with it. I'm not afraid to swing it in a little bit, kind of on a seam on the edges, on some faster runs and that sort of thing. You get it down in the real fast water, it's so small that it kind of tends to tear out of the fish's mouth, or it feels like a short strike, but it could be tearing out of the mouth. So I try not to run it right in that hard water, but right on the seam, have it coming out of the seam off that fast water into the slower water. But yeah, so I do that, and I kind of have that in my playbook, if you will. Um, it's that, like I said, it's that fly that I'm going to reach for. So if I've tried all these other patterns, and I've done this before many, many, many times, try all these other patterns, do all these other things, then I say, you know what, and nothing's happening. I mean, it's maybe nothing's happening. I mean, zero, zilch, nothing, nada, skunk, all that stuff. That last fly that I reach for is going to be that confidence fly, and I'm going to fish it. And if I still don't have any luck, then and only then can I determine that, well, maybe the fish just weren't biting today. So that's the confidence fly. So what's my list? Right now we're coming off, and y'all have heard me blab on and on about the shad kill. Right now we're coming off of it. It's starting to slow down. I don't see it picking up, but I have in the past seen it pick up toward the end of April, but the weather's been a little bit different. It hasn't really hit, for long periods of time like it has in past years. This year's been a little slower. The shad have been a lot smaller. So we've gone smaller and smaller on our flies to mimic that food that's that the fish are looking at. Some people throw these really big flies, and more power to them. I don't know if there's enough Advil for me to throw an 8-inch fly to a trout all day long, only to come up with a zero. But I can throw 2 or 3 woolly buggers without a problem. It doesn't seem to bother me. Other people, brand new people, have been doing it. They've been having really good luck with it. Took some brand new newbies. One guy didn't even know which end of the rod to hold till we got on the boat, and he caught some fish, and he caught a really good brown, and he was using a white woolly bugger. So that's my confidence fly this time of year. It basically is going to hit that food source almost dead on, depending on the size. Very little flash. So that's my white. White is my kind of wintertime shad kill confidence fly, and I'll use it also on some other tailwaters that I don't know that they have a shad kill, but it still seems to work this time of year. Uh, Another one, if I'm nymphing, definitely a beadhead pheasant tail. That's another 100,000 fish have been served that, and 100,000 fish have been able to eat that fly. It's just it's a good all around fly. I've got some variations that I have a gentleman, Tony, tie for me. He does an awesome job, and he won't give the pattern away, which is what I really like. But all the people that fish on the boat know it, use it, love it. because it does produce fish when nothing else seems to be working or works very little. This will turn on some fish. So for some reason, I want to say it's the peacock curl, maybe the iridescent of the pheasant tail. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the shape because this one's I've got different things going on in it. So maybe it's that. I really don't know, but it's definitely it has been a confidence fly for me since I started guiding. Um, I'll get into that story one day, but right now we're going to move on. You've heard me talk about summertime, the ant. I like ants. For summertime, really a good, needs to be a little bigger than what you would think as far as an ant goes. Really good pattern to throw at bigger fish and where you think they may be lying. That fly has worked here all the way out into Colorado, several different rivers out there. The Colorado, the Yampa, um, let's see, some of the little smaller creeks around Breckenridge. It's worked all through South Park around Fairplay in that area. Again, I take it out there. I might try some of the local flies, stop in a fly shop. Oh yeah, this will work, that'll work. But in the end, I'm gonna try that ant if I can. Uh, and it's normally gonna have a really good day. The fourth fly is it comes out periodically, about every 13 to 17 years. And it's just a big old rectangle piece of black foam with some orange legs on it. I don't get real, I don't get too exotic on my cicada patterns. I've got some that I've tried here recently. Actually, just posted one yesterday, I think, on at Southeastern Fly on Instagram. If you're not following Southeastern Fly on Instagram, you really should be, because we talk about the podcast, we talk about a lot of things. We show some good pictures. There's some nonsense that goes on there that we just make fun of ourselves. So don't miss out on that. Also, there's a Facebook group on see what is it? Podcast by Southeastern Fly Facebook group. It got hacked a while back, and we're trying to build that back up. So if you're listening and you're like, "What is David? Why hasn't he been putting anything out there for me?" Telling me about the podcast. It got hacked, and we've created a new one. It's got a picture of the fly that you see behind me if you're watching this on YouTube. So you can find it real easy, and you just if you've got a friend that's asking, go ahead and send them the link. Let's get them in the Facebook group so they can keep up, or you can have them follow us on Instagram. I haven't built a Facebook page back for Southeastern Fly because I kind of tend to get repetitious, if that's even a word, with my content, putting it on all three. So, anyway, tell your friends and your fishing partners if you would send them a text with the links on it. Participate any time that you want to. I've got to just put a poll up. It's kind of a free form poll about some fishing food, so you might want to take a look at it. But anyway, how'd I get from cicadas to fly fishing food and poles? I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, I remember now. Cicadas on Instagram. But yeah, that's my. I don't. With cicada season coming up, and we'll be right on the cusp of it here. We're about a month away ish. Right now, we'll be on the cusp of it whenever this episode comes out. Definitely want to tune in on, let me look and see if I can figure out what the date is going to be here on, well, hold please while I direct your call. There it is. Come on up there. On May 6th, we've got the Cicada Diaries coming up. So I got a hold of a couple of folks and myself, and we're going to do a wisdom from the guides on cicada fishing. And what I wanted to do was talk to folks that, like me, have been through cicadas before, so you kind of know what to expect. I wanted to pull from people that had experience, that had been fishing for a while, whatever they came out the last time. And when they and have had some success. A couple of them, a couple of really good guys that are going to help us with that one are really giving up some good information. We're all three kind of carp connoisseurs whenever it comes to topwater carp. So there's a lot of that in there, but there's also a lot of trout, a lot of some smallmouth, and that sort of thing. I'm not completely sold, honestly, on the smallmouth bite yet on cicadas. I know that we can catch them and all that, but I'm just not completely sold that the smallmouth are going to go as crazy and be as stupid as the carp and be as crazy and stupid as the trout. That remains to be seen. That's one thing that I really didn't pursue too much. I did a couple of days of smallmouth last time, and it just was okay. Wasn't fantastic. As a matter of fact, I want to get back on carp and get back on trout pretty quick. But still, I worked through, caught some smallmouth. So I don't know. I'm the jur the yeah, the jury's still out on whether or not smallmouth get as tuned in as carp and as tuned in as trout do. And I don't we don't chase largemouth unless we're up at the lakes where we've got some private water up there. And I don't think it's going to hit up there this year. It may, but I'm already booked up all the way through cicada season. I don't have anything left. I've got to find some time, a day or so for myself to get out and fish. So that's going to be top priority. If somebody were to, for some reason, have to reschedule or cancel, that will be my time to get out. So that'll be interesting to see what I decide to chase then. It'll probably end up being wherever I was going to go for that trip is probably where I'll end up fishing. But anyway, for those, just a rectangle piece of foam. I don't get too exotic. I do put some red eyes on it with some material paint that I ran down here to, where did I go get that at? Hobby Lobby. It's red material paint, and I put some eyes on it just kind of for me because I saw somebody do it one time trying to fly, and I thought, wow, that's really cool to put those eyes on a cicada like that. And it's just two dabs of paint and you're done. Also put some orange legs on there. I don't get too far into the backing on making sure that the orange is in exactly the right place or any of that, because when it turns on, it's usually pretty good. But you're going to hear all that on the episode after this one. And like I said, it comes out on May 6th, and you need to be ready for that because it is a good one. And the guys just really give up some good information. So anyway, that's about it for today. I've been just kind of laying around today, not really doing a whole bunch of nothing. It's too wet to mow and weed eat and do the flower beds. The dogs have been laying around. They're out in the hall right now. If you're wondering about them, they have full bellies from lunch and they are just taking it easy. So yeah, hadn't really been doing much today. Tomorrow's a new day where we'll be out on the water, and we hope to hopefully we'll be able to get some fish in the boat. I think we will be able to. It's been fishing for us really good. Some other people have apparently been kind of crying the blues a little bit, but for us, it's been really good, and I'm excited to go to the water, to the river, and get on the water. And put some people on the fish, which is really a good place to be if you're guiding. Anyway, heck, that's about it. So share this with your friends. Text it to them. Text a copy of the link to them. Tell them to follow the podcast. Ask them, invite them on to the Podcast by Southeastern Fly Facebook group. Follow us on Instagram. It's Southeastern Fly. Like I said, look for the logo. That's where we'll be. And looking forward to talking to y'all again. Thanks for hanging in there, and see you next time on Southeastern Fly.